Alright, welcome back. In this video, we're going to just finish up this design part of it, and we're just going to be adding the cells. So let's get started. Alright, so here I am in my project. In the section controllers, I just want to create some new sections. So we have the header, and if we look at our app, the next one up after the header, which is this where it says tracks, is a list of the tracks. So let's create a tracks section controller. So I'm going to choose a Cocoa Touch class. I'm going to call it tracks section controller. Let me just copy this and just hit next, and we're going to create that. Alright, so this is going to be, first we have to import IG list kit. So import IG list kit. Let me just clean this really fast because it looks like it's not actually working for me because I kept it open. Let's see, clean. Okay, and we're just going to do the same thing we did in the last video. I'm just going to say private or file private. You don't have to have it private if you don't want, but it's going to be a track item of the type track. And this is the model that I gave you guys last video. So if you don't have that, look for that video and download that. So I'm going to just override the init function. First call super init so that we get everything from the original init function, but we're just going to add an inset to this cell. So UI edge insets, and then we're going to do a top 0 0 1 0, and then we're going to go down and do a size for item function, and we're just going to go ahead and return the size of our cell, CG size. All right, and to get the height and width, the height we can get by getting the size of the collection context. Right, so that's the collection view context dot container size dot width, but the height is going to be in our track nips file. So if I just go here, and our height is 60, so I'm just going to use that 60 and jump back into our section controller and just say 60. And you could probably, like I said, get the actual value of the cell instead of doing this hard code thing. All right, so now what we want to do, sorry, Bixby was talking to me. Okay, we're going to want to do a cell for item at. Okay, and then we're going to just create the cell like we did in the last video and do the collection context like we did in the last video. If it exists, we're going to dequeue a reusable cell with nib name. The nib name is going to be our track view cell. So track view cell. We're not going to have a bundle, and we're going to use this as the class that's going to control it, and then the index that's passed back from this method. And what we're going to do is cast that as a track view cell. Else we're going to return an error. All right, so now we actually don't need this. There we go. Else fatal error. Okay, so now that we have that, we're going to go ahead and start configuring it. So I'm going to say cell dot we got to do the icon, the detail. So I'm going to do the detail first since it's there. Now you could just pop over into this track view cell class to see exactly what you're going to be wanting to grab. So we have an image view, a UI label, well, two UI labels. So we're going to be setting text and the image, right? So let's go ahead and jump back. So track detail dot text is going to be equal to our track item, dot, and let's actually go to our track model. Our track model has an ID, an icon, a name, and a detail. All right, so let's go ahead and use that. Some of these things I did not use, like the track time. I don't think I put that in here or not, but we can, I guess. Okay, back into our track. So it's going to be detail cell dot track icon dot image is going to be track item dot track icon, and cell dot track title dot text is going to be track item dot track name. All right, and then we're just going to return the cell, and then I'm going to account for the did update. All right, so the did update function is just going to update this if this value gets updated. All right, and that is it. So let's go into our view controller, and here we just want to uncomment the data. So I'm going to actually go to my data first, and I'm going to uncomment these tracks because now we have something to handle that. We actually have something to handle that second header, but yeah, let me just go ahead and get rid of that too. All right, so I'm going to, I just uncommented all of my tracks, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop back over into my view controller once I find it. All right, so now I'm getting the track information. So what we need to do here is add a case for our tracks. So case is track. Then we're just going to return the track section controller. Right, and that's what it's called. Let's see, product, clean that. It's actually with a T, so that's not why it's not showing up. I'm just going to rename it here. We'll remove that T and remove the T here, and then that should work out for us. Let's see. There we go. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and run this and see what we have. All right, so as you see, now we have all of our tracks displaying here. We have our two headers. So we had multiple headers in the data. So now we have an album header down here as well, because I just basically uncommented that from the code. The other things that we want to work on, there's a button section controller, as well as there's an album section controller. So we have the album preview and then an album section controller. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fast forward this, but I'm going to basically follow the same steps I did to create this. And you can probably slow it down if you want to make sure your code is right, but I will be providing this code in the link below. So yeah. Alright, so now that we've done all that, we just need to go to our view controller. Well, actually, let's go to our data and uncomment everything else out. Alright, so we have a couple of different things here. This tracks, so we just switch this album previews. Let's actually open this up. We have album previews, header, tracks, some integers, which I'm going to assume is going to be the buttons, another header, tracks. I'm not sure why I did that. What data is that getting? So let's see. Alright, so I'm going to hop back into our main view controller. I've uncommented everything in the data file, and I just need to make some adjustments to our view controller, to our switch case. So right now, headers are getting header section controller, tracks are getting track section controllers, and I need to add case is album preview. Then we want to do this controller. So I'm gonna just copy this here. Now I have some strings there. The strings are going to be our actual that set of 4 tracks, right? So I'm just going to do that. So let's say case is string. I'm going to say return album section controller, just to go with our data. You can play around with this a little bit and see how it fits you, and otherwise it's going to be the button section controller. Alright, so I updated our switch statement, and let's see if it works for us. That's because we we don't want it to fill up the whole space. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's fix that really fast. So back into my album section controller. We want them to be 2 up, so I'm just going to divide this by 2. So let's go back into our section controller for our album. And we actually need to return the number of items. So I have the array here, and that's what I forgot to do. So number of items, I'm just going to return, because the data is not being fed in, it's all in this class album items dot count. Alright, so I'm gonna try this again. Alright, so there we go. Now we have our 2 up albums down here, and you know, that is it for this this set of videos. I would encourage you guys to download the app and continue to build this out. I may do some things with AV here, since we already have this app built out, but I hope that this was helpful. I will provide this entire project below. Some of the stuff is kind of marked, but some of it isn't. If I ever need to update that, I can. Just let me know. Alright guys, so it looks like we have what we are looking for, and our album section has a 4x4 of the different albums. Of course, you can't do anything now because we don't have any type of functionality on it, but I would encourage you guys to go ahead and finish building this out. And if you guys have any questions or comments, please let me know, and if not, I will see you guys next time. Bye.